Hello. In this video we're going to use QuickBooks 2015 to complete a payroll for our employees. So you'll notice that I'm using a sample data file for the purposes of demonstrating the steps for completing a payroll. So we start from the home page. Down in the employee section at the bottom, we click on Pay Employees. So then your Create Paychecks, it's like a wizard that pops up. It's going to lead us through a few steps. So we're going to click on Start Unscheduled Payroll. Sometimes that would just simply say Payroll. So we would click on that button there, and then a list of our employees shows up along the left-hand side. So we're going to start by changing the pay period date. So we're going to make it October 31st, and we're going to make our check date the 2017, and we'll make it into the first week of November. So let's say we're doing the checks on the 5th of November. So we've got our dates changed for the particular pay period, and then we can choose the employees that we're going to pay. So let's choose the first three. Because we're using a sample file, the dates are set, I think, way up into 2020, so it's just telling us that we're using dates in the past. That's okay, we'll just click yes because it is a sample file. We're also probably going to see messages that tell us we're working with a sample file, so that all of the deductions and such, taxes, might not be correct. Alright, so it's telling us that there's already a paycheck in there for a future date. So I'm just going to click continue because that was probably part of the sample file and why it was created. So I'm just going to ignore that and click continue. So we've got our three employees chosen. So now we're going to click on the Open Paycheck Detail button, and that'll open the paycheck detail for each of the three. So this one we're looking at is just Lynette's. She's a salary employee. She earns $62.50 per month. Right now it says that she worked 168 hours. We're going to change that just because I want you to see how the rate changes. All right. So you'll see that it doesn't change. So when it's a salary employee, it's one amount for the month. Doesn't matter how many hours are put in here, the salary amount stays the same. Then you'll see down below, the salary is copied down below. That is the gross pay. And then everything you see below that are the deductions that are being made for this particular employee. Those deductions are determined when the employee is hired and first set up on the system. It's at that time that you would make all your decisions around is the employee purchasing any of the benefits that are available to them? Are they making any charitable donations? Do they get an allowance for automobile or office space or whatever? And then the amount of Canada Pension Plan, employment insurance, and federal income tax deductions are determined as well. And then QuickBooks just does the calculations once it knows what the gross amount of pay is. So it lists the gross amount, all of the deductions, and then what you see at the bottom here is what's actually going to be printed on the check, which is $34.78.32. That's the net amount. So all of these deductions are made, and then that is what's left. So when we click on Save and Next, then we'll see the detailed form for the next employee, which was Kyle Kalat. And so Kyle is an hourly employee. So he gets paid $25 per hour. So in this particular month, he worked 2 weeks at the $25 per hour. And then he worked 2 weeks, he was on vacation. So we choose vacation hourly rate, and we can put the 80 hours into that second box so that we can keep track of the amount of time he's actually on vacation. And you'll see down below that those two amounts dropped in separately, $2,000 for an hourly rate and $2,000 for the vacation rate. Below that, you'll see all of the deductions for Kyle Collette, and then at the bottom, you'll see the net pay, what will actually get printed on the check. So we can click Save and Next, and we get the form up now for Christiane. So Christiane is a salary. There's no rate attached because Christiane is under contract for this month, so we can put the rate in, and in this case we're going to put $4,000 for the month, and we're going to put the hours in at 40 hours a week, so that would be 160 hours for the 4 weeks, and then you can again see that the amount drops down below with all of the deductions, and then finally the net pay. So we're finished with the 3. We can click Save and Close. We'll see that the 3 are still chosen on this screen. We can now click Save, or we can click Continue. But before we do, you'll see that up top here it's a bit of a wizard. So we're at step 1. When we click on Continue at the bottom, we'll move into step 2. Alright, again there's the warning that it's a sample file, so that means all your tax files and stuff aren't going to be correct, and we know that. So we just click OK. And so then review and then create the paychecks. So we want to assign the check numbers to handwritten checks. So let's start with check 175 and see if that works. And then we can click on create paychecks. So again, it's just a warning, and then it tells us that we have successfully created 3 handwritten checks. So now typically what you would do in the workplace, if you were actually printing the checks, you would have chosen that option on the earlier screen, print paychecks from QuickBooks, and then you would make sure that the proper checks were in the printer and that they would actually get printed. Most of the time we don't do that, but we do like to create them, and then through the print process we can create an Adobe PDF document so that we can actually file the pay stubs with our paperwork. So if we click on Print Paychecks, and we start with, I think we had check 175 was what we had, and they're not listed. So what happens when we select all? They're not there. So let's get out of here, and if we go to Print Email Pay Stubs, there they are there. We can see them on that screen. Alright, so we've got the 3 pay stubs to print or email. Okay. We can do them each separately as well, and then we can, I think if everything else is good, we see the amount, we just click on print. So we're not actually going to send it to a printer. What we're going to send it to is Adobe PDF on documents, like we have with some of our reports in other parts of our course. So we're choosing the Adobe, right? Printer type, single sheets. We click Print. Adobe wants us to save the document, so I'm going to save it as payroll on, what was the month? November. And I'm just going to, for this purpose, I'm just going to save it on my desktop. I'll click Save. Adobe then is creating the document. It tells you when it's been created, so that's good. So now what you would do with the Adobe document, you can see that it opens at the bottom. We can close our payroll window. We can close our Create Paycheck window, and we're back at our main desk. The Adobe document, Payroll November, that we've created, we can actually save that now, and you would have put it into the proper folder when you saved it. And so those are the steps that you follow to create a payroll using QuickBooks 2015.